By the year 2026, humanity has established a permanent colony on Mars. This achievement relies on 4,000 years of continuous, uninterrupted Sumerian mathematical development, a lineage of science that never saw a dark age. In this timeline, the Middle East serves as the world's economic and technological heart. Global trade operates on an Akkadian standard, a decentralized market system that replaced the need for national borders or massive standing armies centuries ago. This utopia was erased by a single strategic error made 4,300 years ago, a choice that diverted the trajectory of human civilization. The modern military-industrial complex is an ancient, self-replicating structural virus. It is a system of governance that prioritizes the logistics of force over the mechanics of progress, and its genetic code was written in the dust of Mesopotamia. Before the rise of the Akkadian Empire, warfare followed the seasons. Armies were temporary militias of farmers who settled border disputes between harvests. Conflict was a brief, localized interruption to the primary work of feeding a city. Sargon of Akkad broke this cycle. He established the 5400, a permanent, state-funded body of professional soldiers. For the first time, a large group of men existed solely to wait for orders to kill. Paying men year-round to be soldiers transformed warfare into a permanent industry. These men required a constant supply of weapons, armor, and calories that only a centralized state could provide, creating a perpetual demand for new resources. Sargon's victory created a machine of destruction that functioned like an engine without a braking system. Once the 5400 were mobilized, the state had to keep expanding simply to keep them fed. In 2340 BC, Mesopotamia was a landscape of crowded, competing city-states. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers created natural bottlenecks that made every acre of irrigated land a potential flashpoint for war. Sargon entered this arena as an illegitimate outsider. His rise to power was a rebellion against the established order, and that history left him with a deep-seated fear of betrayal by the very people he sought to rule. These accounting tablets show the cost of that fear. Sargon secured the loyalty of his army through massive daily rations of bread and meat. He replaced the ideological bond of citizenship with a purely transactional relationship, managed by a crushing new bureaucracy. The world's first standing army served as a high-priced insurance policy for a ruler who fundamentally mistrusted his own populace. Following his final victory over the Sumerian kings, Sargon reached a crossroads. He had the power to disband his forces and return to the seasonal model, but he chose to keep his army active and garrisoned. Sargon could have established a commercial hegemony, using his army to secure a trade alliance and allowing city-states to self-govern. Instead, direct occupation drained local wealth. Sargon stripped cities of their surplus, redirecting resources into a centralized military budget. This model proved unsustainable. Within 3 generations, the Akkadian Empire collapsed under its own weight. The massive military overhead triggered widespread famine and rebellion, dragging the region into a dark age. When the state ran out of resources to feed its army, the system shattered. Cities were abandoned and sophisticated irrigation networks fell into total disrepair. By choosing military occupation over a trade-based alliance, Sargon traded long-term stability for immediate control. This collapse erased centuries of accumulated knowledge in engineering and mathematics, forcing the region to start over from the ruins. While Sargon's specific empire vanished, his blueprint for power endured. The concept of permanent combat readiness became the operational standard for every civilization that followed, from Rome to the modern superpower. We are still maintaining Sargon's 5400. Today, they are millions of professional soldiers, housed in massive administrative complexes like this one, supported by budgets that exceed the total economic output of many nations. Modern economies are structurally bound to these logistical requirements. The constant maintenance of fleets and specialized personnel creates a permanent resource drain that mirrors the Akkadian extraction model. The logistical burden required to maintain total military dominance today creates a massive fixed overhead that inevitably threatens a state's long-term financial health. Sargon viewed power as a sword that must never be sheathed. True systemic power is different. It is an economic and cultural framework so beneficial that no one wants to leave it. The ancient Akkadian commander and the modern strategist are playing the same game. Both prioritize the immediate security of the standing force over the long-term health of the civilization they are meant to protect. Sargon built a system of perpetual warfare and called it an empire. 4,000 years later, we are still living inside that prison, waiting to decide when we will finally stop building it.